Tuesday, June 25th, 2024, General Board meeting. As a couple of logistics, we have 3 microphones on the table, so we are recording the meeting for record-keeping purposes. So as you hear your name, if you can please come up and speak into the microphone. Thank you. I would first like to thank our host, the New York City Botanical Garden, for hosting our meeting tonight. Thank you, Elizabeth and Aaron. I'll begin by reading our Code of Conduct. Bronx Community Board 7 has the right to remove a board member or member of the public from a meeting for engaging in inappropriate conduct, including but not limited to obscene, threatening or harassing language, slander, threats or violence, personal attacks of any kind, or offensive inflammatory comments on the basis of ethnicity, race, age, religion, gender, sexual orientation, and/or disability. Members of the public who engage in any other behavior that reasonably impedes the orderly administration of the meeting while at a board meeting shall be removed from the board meeting at the discretion of the chair or chair designee. I will now begin with our public hearing by first calling on our elected official present, Councilmember Pirina Sanchez.
Hello, hi CB7. Hi. Everybody, hi. Thank you for coming. Thank you for participating and doing it for zero pay and lots of love for the community. I really appreciate you. So I just wanted to swing by and say hello. Last public meeting for a general board meeting for the year. So thank you for the fiscal year. You know, us elected officials and government workers were like, Happy New Year on July 1st because that's a fiscal year. So happy almost New Year. Happy almost new fiscal year. So wanted to share just a couple of things, exciting things that we've been up to in the past few months, but really it's heated up in the past few weeks. Just last week we passed the Billingsley Terrace Structural Integrity Act. So you all remember the building collapse at 1915 Billingsley. We, in the sort of aftermath of that tragedy, really displaced 170 people. Thank God nobody was hurt. But displaced 170 people, and we discovered, of course, looking back into it, the building had hundreds of HPD violations, dozens of DOB violations, just, you know, the red flags were everywhere, but the city didn't do anything with this information. And in conversations with the Department of Buildings, you know, it turns out, and many of you might know this, that they are a reactive agency. Unless you call 311 or there's an emergency and a collapse or something like that, they're not really sending inspectors out. And so the legislation that we passed changes the way the agency works, creates a proactive enforcement agency, and puts them on the offensive, right? So when there are these flags like a building that is not being kept, a lot of violations from different agencies, contractors that may have had disciplinary issues elsewhere, which is important because the worker, the contractors, were the reason for the collapse in this case. They misclassified a load-bearing column, and then the workers pulled out bricks, and the building came crashing down, right? So taking a look at all of these factors, they're going to be able to do proactive inspections and proactive enforcement, which is a big change, and I believe is going to, you know, help them keep us just a little bit safer. So very, very proud of that, and thankful for everybody who worked on that, including the tenants, actually, who were very vocal about wanting to see change after what happened to their homes. You know, we're a little busy in the city council. I'm sure my other colleagues will come and speak today, but we're in the throes of the budget. We have 4 days left, and we are quite far apart from the mayor. In my 15 years working in government, I haven't seen a negotiation get to this point and being this far apart, because we're $170 million apart on 3K and pre-K. There was a promise in the previous administration to get us to universal 3K. We are seeing cuts to that program, and a lot of the city council members, myself included, you know, we don't want to stand for that. So if they don't get to a budget agreement that can get 26 yeses from the city council, we're not going to have an in-time budget, and that might be historic in all the the wrong reasons. We also have cuts to CUNY that we're fighting against. We have cuts to libraries. You might notice that we don't have service on Sundays. To me, these education cuts, these 3K pre-K cuts, these library cuts, and non-commitments in the area of housing and a couple of key other areas, like maintaining our parks and those workers, those parks workers that you see them out there and they're from the neighborhood, right? Cutting those workers is a non-starter, right? So we're pretty far apart. We have 4 days left, and we wanna we're hoping at the city council that we're able to find the middle ground, but it's a tense one. So keep your eyes out and let me know if you have any ideas. We're having lots of rallies and trying to mount the pressure on the administration and the mayor to meet some of these promises, but it's a nail biter. Another concern that I know is important to CB7, we talked about it a lot, but cannabis, illegal cannabis shops, especially those around schools. I just want to flag for you all to, in addition to making those 311 complaints, my office has been working directly with the Department of Finance, with the sheriff. The sheriff's office and the NYPD, they do joint operations. Actually ran into some folks doing an operation earlier today, and they've gotten a lot of these shops closed, but we know it's not just the brick and mortar stores and bodegas that have gone up and are selling illegal cannabis illegally, but it's also vans and other folks that are by schools. So if you see that, please let us know, because we are working closely with the enforcement agents who can go out and get them shut down. And I don't care how many times we have to get them shut down. We need to send the message that there's a right way to do it. There's a way that the state legislature meant for this to pass, and it wasn't having these candies being sold next to schools and all of the other abuses that we're seeing. And finally, we got half rained out. Carla, thank you for coming to the Schools Out celebration. But we're having a couple of summer events. And on August 17th is going to be the block party in front of my office. I know it's technically CB5, but we love CB7, so hope to see you there. There's going to be lots of resources, free food, lots of DJ. I will probably be dancing with my big belly. Yes, I am pregnant. Yay!
Congrats.
Thank you. So my belly will be a lot bigger, but I'm very, very excited to see that. Yeah, and those are my updates. Thank you for, sorry if I went over time, Madam Chair, but thank you for the opportunity. Always a pleasure to see you, and happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Just a quick question. What was the bill you spoke about at the beginning about the building inspection, so these buildings don't fall down on your head?
Yes.
Did the bill pass?
The bill passed.
And what's the bill number?
The bill number is intro 904.
82904?
904. It passed last Thursday, and the Department of Buildings was on board. It's shocking when we get to agree on stuff, but it was a really good negotiation, and we're getting 60 new inspectors to implement the program.
Okay, so
Right? That was us. We did that. Yeah.
So in contact with them, do you go to the Department of Buildings, or do you call 311?
So anytime you see anything of concern, please always be calling 311, right? We're building the database, and we're building the evidence base that we need for them to enforce. And then they're compiling a lot of different information, putting it together to identify the highest risk buildings and going into those.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Yes.
As a senior center participant, could you please look at the budget for seniors, and particularly because it's been so hot, this is a life-saving place for a lot of seniors.
Yep, absolutely. There's still cuts to seniors. So what they do is they update us every day. The speaker's office updates the council members every day. She knows our priorities. She has her own priorities. There's a lot of alignment between them, and they tell us every day how what things were settled. And so we still have not been settled on our priorities on senior centers. But one thing no, I'm not supposed to say it out loud. Okay, I'm sorry. But there is some progress being made, I'll say that. I just remember they were like, don't say this in any public space. I'm fine. So there's some progress being made, but we still have quite some distance, and senior centers is a part of them.
So I know that there's cuts being made. Where is the money being allocated? Where's that money going to?
Yeah, so that's an excellent question, and it's one that we're talking about a lot. So the the mayoralty and the city council, we have differences of opinion in terms of projections of revenues coming in, right? And what I mean by that is, you know, the city of New York gets a lot of revenue, from a lot of different sources. Sales taxes, hotel taxes, tourism, you know, transfers from the state, transfers from the federal government. There's a lot of different sources of funding, and some of that we have to project. We have to project how much we think is going to come in based on all sorts of factors, right? National factors, the wars that are happening, all of that affects our projections. And so our projections and, you know, based on what we're seeing coming in from actual live tax receipts are different from the administration by about $1 billion. So we're seeing $2 billion more than they are recognizing in revenues. And so part of the argument is that they're saying we don't have enough, where we're saying, and it's not just the city council, by the way, it's not me, these are PhDs, people with PhDs in economics who are forecasting these numbers, and they're being corroborated by external organizations like the Independent Budget Office, which is non-governmental, and they're also seeing the kind of revenues that we're projecting, right? So that's part of the disagreement, and of course, then there are differences in between where the administration thinks that, you know, some of these monies should go versus where we think that they should go. But again, we've come a long way. There was about $500 million of a fiscal cliff in the Department of Education that at first the administration was saying, like, we're just gonna have to cut and we're just gonna have to, you know, we're just gonna have to have less money in our schools. And we've been able to make up a lot of that and find common ground, but there's still a ways to go.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. Next, we have our police officer Capo, followed by Xiomara Duarte. And your stats are on page 4. Yes, page 4.
Want me to get up on the stage?
Last year, at this time, we had 2 murders. This year, we had 6. You can see we've been kind of busy. Rapes were up also 66%, 15 last year, 25 this year. We're basically just about up in every major crime except for burglaries. That's year to date. Now, as far as for the month 28-day period, we're down in everything except for GLAs, which is grand larceny, auto, vehicle thefts. No, we're actually up by 1. We're down in burglaries, felonious assault, we're up. If you can kind of read this, I mean, basically the crime is mostly up than down. I'm sorry to say that, but as you know, we are low in manpower. We're trying to recruit as many police officers as we can. If you know anyone, please try to have them take the test. Even if they're not 21, they can take the test at 18, and it's good until they turn 21. I don't know what else to give you guys we just had an autism walk and we had an open house. It was a great turnout. I wasn't there. I was so mad I missed it. But like, you know, your health comes first. In August, we don't have any community council meetings, not until September. Summer we're off. If you guys have any complaints, please by all means, I don't know if Carla has my email or my phone number on the agenda. I can give it to you if you need it. You can always send me a text. If I don't answer right away, I will answer you. Cell phone number is 917-753-4074. If I can't get to you or if I can't answer you right away, I will get back to you and I will lead you to whoever is the NCO or whatever department can cover your complaint or concern. I don't know if anybody has any questions now. Go ahead, Chad.
Yes, I have good things after that. Just to recognize, is that
There's another mic here.
oh, sorry. Okay, just, okay, so I noticed that there's a rise in, a lot of the rape, murders, assaults and such. I'm not sure if we have this information. Does any of that rise have anything to do with the park activity, the activities in some of the parks within our district that you know of offhand?
Well, I can tell you now, the murders, the one that we recently had, it was a domestic, so it's not like something that was random, it was domestic violence.
That was isolated.
Yeah, that's, so, the other three, I'm not sure what it was, but I know for a fact that 3 were domestic violence.
Okay, and one of the reasons why I bring that up, several times I've had to call 311 to report the gates at the boat park not being closed in a timely manner. At one point it was 12 midnight and the gates were 12:30 after midnight. Right, and the gates were not closed. I'm just wondering if additional attention can be brought to the parks.
Well,
So that-
parks, I know parks are the ones who close it. They have the keys, we don't have keys to the gates unless they give it to us. But that's like just like a one-time thing. Parks is the department that they go themselves and they close it. Why they aren't closing it, I have no idea. Nobody else has keys to those gates but parks. Like I said, not even NYPD has the keys to those gates. So if you wanna get in contact with somebody in charge of parks, or maybe I can lead you in that direction, so you can speak to, but parks is the first thing, or the people that you speak to.
Thank you. There's 2 more questions.
Earlier in the year, we were having problems with crime up at Williamsbridge Oval. Has that quieted down at all?
Well, I know we've had more police presence, so that is making a big difference. Because it was up, we kept more cops surveying and patrolling that area. So far, so good.
Okay, my quick question is, do you know how many NCOs are we gonna have throughout the summer in our district?
A lot of our NCOs have left. Like I said, we are down. There were 3 NCOs that went to other departments. So trying to get the positions filled, we have to take cops from patrol. And the cops from patrol, we barely have. So when we get the positions on patrol, enough cops on patrol, then we can take from them and put them in NCO. Right now, there's someone in each sector. We used to have 2, but unfortunately,
One per sector?
yeah, we lost 3. So,
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Officer Castro. Next, we have Xiomara Loarte.
I just wanted to add a note, and this is very important for CD7. So I have been working with the Office of the Governor on the problem of increased violence in the 5-2 and the 4-6. Her office with the DF, oh my gosh, I forget the acronym, but her criminal justice agency is going to be implementing a pilot in the 5-2 and the 4-6, which is going to be a blend of the NYPD, community organizations, and just putting that on your radar. It's probably going to launch closer to the fall, and it's in the district attorney's office. That's what I meant to say. The NYPD district attorney's office, community-based organizations, looking at aspects of crime from the social determinants, right? From the housing, employment, those kind of upstream interventions that we need more of in our community, all the way to the the end result of kids getting locked up and doing the things that they're not supposed to be doing in the neighborhood. So I just want to plant that seed for the community board to be thinking about representatives that you would want to have on such a committee. It's going to be intensive. It's going to be maybe a year or two. We're still in the design stages, but it's a big problem, right? New York City as a whole is not seeing crime anywhere near the levels that we had in the 90s, but that's not to say that a place like the 4-6 and the 5-2 isn't seeing a sharp increase, and it's not impacting the way that we live every single day. And some of us are scared depending on where we are and what we're seeing. So I just wanted to put that out there for you all to discuss, especially in public safety as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, TBD. I'm meeting with the governor's office next week. We're just we're writing it up right now, and then we're going to be sending out the invitations to organizations. But yeah, reach out to my office if you're interested in being a part of it as an individual, or your organization, or your block, or whatever it is. Everybody is welcome, because it's an all hands on deck approach, coming together, bringing the community together with law enforcement, with community elected officials, everybody together to tackle the challenge.
And I will say every elected official has a newsletter that they send out, so find on their website, sign up for it, and then we also gather that information to populate our own newsletter. So moving on, we'll be timing everyone for a minute. Please don't walk to the podium, as we have some audio issues going on. If you can just grab a mic and then stay right here at the in front of us. Xiomara Loarte. Nicosa Barret.
Good evening, guys.
Good evening, ma'am.
I'll keep it to a minute. Hi, guys. I just came out because my block association is participating in Open Streets program for this summer, and what we're doing is we're having a play street all summer long, Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays for the kids. Adults can come out, they can hang out, we'll have seating, we'll have tables, music, games, different kinds of programming throughout the summer for the kids. And I just wanted to invite you all to come out, and if you have kids, bring them out and let them enjoy the summer. And I would like to thank you guys for the letter of support, because without you, we wouldn't have been able to be approved to have the play street, so thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, we're in Decatur between 194th and 195th.
And there's flyers in the front if anybody would like to get a flyer. And Nicosa has also shared a PDF version of the flyer, so we'll be adding that flyer to our newsletter. Next we have Yahai Ropes.
Hello, good evening everyone. My name is Jahai Rose. I'm the Director of Outreach for the New York City Civilian Complaint Review Board. We just wanted to come by, say hello to everyone, and just to let you know, as the summer kicks up and the weather gets warmer and young people are out of school, we do anticipate that there will be more police encounters.
Yeah.
We do want to leave an avenue open that if an individual feels like they may have experienced police misconduct, whether it was excessive use of force, abuse of authority, discourtesy, and or offensive language made towards members of the public, that the CCRB is here to be able to take those complaints and investigate those claims. We appreciate the work of the New York City Police Department, but not every police officer does their job the same way. And if individuals do feel like they need an avenue to be able to investigate their claims, the agency is here for it. I do want to leave my contact information because we also come out to like community events. We would love to volunteer with some of you as we go into the summer for our CCRB Cares initiative. So we definitely want to show you that we want to connect with you all on a deeper level beyond just giving you information about complaints. So you can reach me on my cell at 917-208-9320. That number again, 917-208-9320. First name Jahi, and last name Rose like the flower from the CCRB. Thank you all very much. Have a happy and safe summer.
Thank you. And I will say Jahi is new in his role, and he will be attending our public safety and quality of life meetings moving forward. Next we have Cristian Ramos, followed by Ritchie Ramos.
Thank you, Cristian Ramos. Good afternoon, buenas tardes a todos. As a business owner, part of also the Kingsbridge Merchant Association. We are around in the neighborhood for 20 years. I see a lot of people around here who already know for a couple of years. Our district leader also, Carla, thank you so much. But what I see after the COVID is changing a lot, the corridor on Kingsbridge Road. I understand the police department do it the best, but we would like to, hey, and they say try. I could turn to say change it, transform. We need more, and it's true what you say, the ballpark, and it's St. James Park 2 days before the summertime started. We don't want to see the doors open. I spoke with a park recreation director. He came and passed by and said, Mr. Ramos, we're gonna make sure the barbecue position, no more barbecues in St. James. So we're gonna be focused as a merchants also, be more around and consistent to be on the parks, on the street. I would like to say announce too. Today I said the 88, they make the bus 9 bus station in front of Motor William supermarket. They just put the station for the bus. People, we take the number bus on the station. They just did it. Put the seats for the old people. So I think it's something incredible has happened. But the same thing, we cannot build something new in Kingsbridge Road if they don't clean it up. The places like sanitation. For example, our España, our congressman, he has, with another one, Ritchie Torres, he has an announcement about elevator on Kingsbridge and Jerome that I'm agree with. And I'm agree with that idea. All the merchants around in the neighborhood say that would be perfect for disabled people. We're gonna have elevator in the area. But under the train, it's a consistent, and unfortunately our Councilwoman Pierina Sanchez just stepped out. And I would like to say is before to doing any elevator and stuff like that, like 170 on Jerome Avenue, it's very important to clean the area. We have a lot of homeless in the neighborhood. We have a lot of crime in the neighborhood. I see the numbers 10 up, but it's something good happen. And this Sunday we just did the merchants and the United Bodegas in the past next to the Pole Park. This Sunday just passed. The guy for the prison, they call him. They request a volunteer, even I registered myself. I would like to control and walk around as a volunteer. They're gonna start September 3rd, a training from the police department. They're gonna train anyone. Because the same way they train these people who do the thief, the crime, the robbery, they don't go to the school, they don't have training. They just do it, go out and take it, right? They should go to the bodegas and take it. Let's go down I have a cell phone store. Two child, 13 years old, came to our store, take the phone. We give the phone. They don't even pay. They don't pay. Just run away. What we have to do? Follow them. If we need more control, more people walking around, more police volunteer. I'm gonna be the first in the line. We're gonna be a register September 3rd for the police department. Be a volunteer walking around the street, not only in the cars. We need to walk to. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christian. Next we have AJ Ramos.
Hello everybody, just special shout out to the class of 24. Motion A, vote yes, but you guys should never forget that silence equals death. And as this board continued to waste my tax dollars on meetings for members' personal interests and friends, the rest of my taxes went to bombing children, families, and the universities of Gaza and Palestine, leaving nothing but genocide, death, and destruction as your legacy. As other municipalities and electeds have tried to stop the violence by advocating for a permanent ceasefire, 7 Ritchie Torres, Eric, and Daddy Dinowitz continue to propagate fear and hate in a pure violation of the public's trust and separation of church or temple and state. These deaths and endless bloodshed, many of whom were children and women, is on your hands. May their souls and blood wash over you every night as you try to sleep and haunt you beyond the summer break for your complicity and not trying to stop it sooner. Fight AIDS, not Palestinians. Thank you.
Next, we have Bob Hernandez.
I don't think I need the mic. I think you guys can hear me, right?
It's for the recording.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
You're talking to mics.
You got this.
I just thank you all for what you're doing. This is my first time here. I don't know anything about politics. What I'm not hearing though is anybody addressing the quality of life issues that are going on in this neighborhood. I have lived here for over 45 years, and I have never seen it as bad as it has been for the last 4 years. And I'm tired of the police, I'm tired of elected officials normalizing this behavior. People coming out, 25, 30 groups of people outside a building, a residential building, blasting music to 5 in the morning, calling 311, calling 911, and getting nothing done. I have to work in the morning. 2 Sundays ago, I had 3 hours sleep. That's all I was able to get. Nobody ever came, the police didn't come, okay? I have drug dealers living and working on in my building. Again, my heart goes out to addicts. But again, they are in our building shooting up, using our stairwells as a urinal, as a toilet. I mean, and nobody's doing anything. Nobody's saying nothing. Everybody's just normalizing this behavior, and as a Latino, I find it offensive when they say that is a cultural thing. That is not a cultural thing, okay? We as Latino, no, because I've heard Latinos use that excuse, and it's not a cultural thing. We were not raised to be obnoxious, to be selfish and inconsiderate to our neighbors. It is rude, it is obnoxious. Last Sunday, on my day off, there was an event at Cole Park. The music was unbearable, blasting. For 6 hours, I was home and I could not hear myself think, let alone listen to the TV, read a book, or even rest. And when that music finally went off, a little bit after 6 o'clock, the people outside started hanging out until 4 in the morning. And these elected officials, I don't know what they were thinking, approving that. That is a whole resident. You want to do that, take it to Orchard Beach, take it to Van Cortlandt Park. These are residential neighborhoods. The police need to start doing something about it. If you guys can do something about it, that's what you guys should be working on. Finding out how we can stop this, because this is insanity. We never had this problem before. I don't remember this ever happening before 2019. I never had to deal with groups of people hanging out at cars, double parked, people smoking hookah with patio furniture, big speakers. I have homeless people living on my roof, and the landlord doesn't do anything. When I went to my landlord to complain about it, I was told, when they looked at how long I've been living there, the rent that I'm paying, I shouldn't complain about anything. I may not be paying the market value for that apartment because I've been there for so long, but my rent continues to go up. And people talk about gentrification. I'm not getting nice, quiet Caucasians moving into my neighborhood. I would welcome that. I would welcome nice cafes. Okay? I'm tired of seeing my neighborhood.
Thank you. Thank you, Bro Hernandez. And I remember you from the public precinct meeting, so.
Oh, the building's 2720 Grand Concourse, a huge building right there in the concourse, not on the side streets. It's right in the corner of 196th Street and East Kingsbridge Road.
Thank you. All right, Madam Chair, that concludes our public hearing.
Hi everybody, good evening. Thank you for coming out to our last meeting of the term. It is Tuesday, June 25th. I know it's hot. I know there's a lot going on. Mr. Hernandez, we're with you. I grew up there. I grew up on 196 and Morris Avenue, so I know that the changes are drastic. So we do understand your plea. We hear it all the time. Just to give you a little bit of clarification, we are advisory. We bring all the complaints, everything. You can send an email to the board, Carla, Stephen, Christiana, who are our team. More than welcome to pass it along to our elected officials. We have representatives that are here because we want those changes too. I've lived in this neighborhood since I was 5 years old, and I've never seen something like this. So I do appreciate you coming out and voicing your concerns, because we deserve quality of life. All of us deserve quality of life, whether it's in the summertime, in the fall, in the spring, no matter the season, we deserve quality of life. And I just want to make that clear with everybody, okay? So we do hear you, and we're going to try to be the best that we can and give you the resources that we possibly can to help you have a better quality of life in your home, okay? With that being said, I'm going to move the agenda over to the district manager's updates.
Just a quick update. We engaged 403 participants in the Civic Engagement Commission's participatory budgeting event. We are having a resource fair on Saturday, June 29th, 12 to 3 p.m. At Poe Park. So Mr. Hernandez will make sure to keep the volume down on our DJ. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, it's 12 to 3, so just. And our office is now open 5 days a week from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Continue to submit 301 complaints via 311. If your life is in danger, call 911. And the mayor has assigned a neighborhood support team to work with Bronx Community Board 7 to address issues around public drug use and sale, graffiti, illegal dumping, and bringing more murals to the community. So at some point, I will be sending an email out to key stakeholders to give me, the mayor's office basically wants a list of addresses per issue, and so we'll be sending that to them, and then they'll spearhead the meeting with different city agencies to see see what change they can implement between this July and next July. So we're hoping that positive changes happen in the community. And that's the end of my updates.
Thank you, Carla. Moving along to the chair's remarks. There's not much to say other than we have our resource fair this Saturday. I welcome everybody to come out. There's going to be a lot of agencies out with us for those 3 hours. You can get a lot of information. You can get a lot of resources. You can speak to your elected official representatives one-on-one. It's a fun time. Kids come out. We have giveaways. There's a lot of good stuff that happens in those 3 hours in our community, because it is for our community. And it's needed. It shows appreciation, it shows togetherness, it shows all of us being together and trying to make sure we do something better for our neighbors. The second thing is, I would like to thank this board for this year. It's been a lot of work. We've had a lot of ups, downs, and everything in between, but I would like to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out to be a part of this together with me and making sure that we do good for our neighbors, for our community, for our friends, for our elected officials, for everything that we represent in Community Board 7. I would like to say thank you. Thank you. Also, I would like to extend thank yous to Carla, Stephen, Christiana. Thank you so much for the work that you do every single day. It is really appreciated. This year has been a lot, and I know Christiana joining us at the very end has helped out a lot, and thank you, thank you, thank you. Moving along, the Bronx Borough President's Office is hosting a community barbecue that will be July 10th. I inquire our board members to sign up and RSVP, members of the public, if you're on the Bronx Borough President's newsletter, sign up, come out and get to meet all the community board members of the Bronx. This is not just CD7, this is the entire borough, and it's at Split Rock Golf Course, and it will be, I believe, July 10th. But come out and get to meet everyone. That's it for me. Moving it along, moving into our secretary, Helene, for the attendance.
Thank you. Hi, good evening. Larry Acosta.
Present.
Tasha Andrews. Betty Arce. Yahira Arias. Michelle Avila. Toby Buford. Manjur Chowdhury. Kamali Corley. Sandra Erickson. Alfred Grant. Lowell Green.
Lowell Green is present.
Leslie Harrison. Helene Hartman Kadnowski is present. Jean Hill.
Jean Hill is present.
Andrew Leosa.
Present.
Rosalie Leslie. Jesus Lopez Henson. Thank you. Marion Power Felice. Okay. Tayana Pena. Edgar Ramos. Robin Roland. Chad Royer. Mamadou Sawana. Samantha Suvatsis. Barbara Stronza. Gwen Thomas Steed. Adeline Walker Santiago. Jake Wilson. Bernard Wright. We have quorum. Thank you.
Thank you, Helene. Moving on in our packet, we have a review of previous month's minutes. That starts on page number 7. You can take a minute to review if there's any corrections, misspellings, things that need to be addressed. Please let us know so that we can make the appropriate corrections on our law.
Page 17. It's just a technical response. Helene is part of the executive board, and she should be listed as a member. Not just because some organizations, the secretary is not a member of the board, but it should be noted that she is a member of the board.
Any other?
I move to accept these minutes with corrections.
I second it.
Thank you, Chad. Thank you, Barbara.
Larry Acosta.
Approves.
Tasha Andrews. Betty Arce. Yahira Arias. Michelle Avila. Oh, okay. Toby Buford. Manjur Chowdhury. Kamali Corley. Sandra Erickson. Alfred Green is absent. Lowell Green.
Approved with correction.
Leslie Harrison. Helene Hartman Kadnowski approves. Jean Hill.
Approves with corrections.
Andrew Leosa.
Approves the motion.
Rosalie Leslie.
Jesus Lopez Henson. Marion Power Felice. Tayana Pena. Okay, Edgar Ramos. Okay. Robin Roland. Chad Royer.
Chadway approves with corrections.
Mamadou Sawana. Okay, Samantha Suvatsis.
Approves with corrections.
Barbara Stronza. Gwen Thomas Steed. Adeline Walker Santiago. Jake Wilson. And Bernard Wright is not here. Thank you.
Thank you, Helene. Moving on in our agenda, we have a motion brought up by the executive committee. And the motion is on page 21 of your packet. It's page 21, 22, 23, and 24. So what we have in our packet is a motion brought up by the executive is to send a letter of support with recommendations to the New York City Department of City Planning, DCP, in favor of the proposed zoning amendments pertaining to City of Yes for housing opportunity. And this is under ULURP number N as in Nancy, 240290, Z as in zebra, R as in road, Y as in yo-yo, a zoning reform proposal that would address the housing shortage by making it possible to build a little bit more housing in every neighborhood. Okay, so that is on page 21. I want to say that this was brought to our housing committee. We had a public hearing. There was no quorum met, so the housing committee could not vote on this, and it was brought to exec. This is why we're having this motion here as well. This was a lengthy and very painful motion to put together, because there's different sections. As you see, there's a low density, there is a medium and high density, there's a citywide, and there's a miscellaneous section of the motion. So us as an executive body went through each and every one of those sections one by one and took a vote and inserted recommendations and comments. And this is why you're seeing the motion the way that it is. So I'd like for everyone to take a minute to review it, and then I will read what the motion is to be addressed to and the action of the motion.
And I also want to thank the New York City Department of City Planning for being here present in case there are any questions.
Caesar, come on up.
Thank you. We are here representing the Department of City Planning. I'm with co-worker Ben, also with PhD, just in case there's any questions. But I just want to thank the board to give us the opportunity to present a couple of times during the committee and also before the public hearing a couple of weeks ago, and also for the thorough conversations that we had on Thursday with the executive team. And we are here to resolve any questions on the spot if necessary.
Thank you, Caesar. Thank you. Welcome. Okay. So the motion is City of Yes Housing Opportunity, and the ULURP number, I'm going to read it again, N 240290ZRY. The committee that reviewed the motion was the executive. Who should action motion be addressed to? And this is being to Daniel R. Gardonick, Director, Department of City Planning, with a carbon copy to New York City Department of Housing Preservation and Development and Bronx CB7 elected official. The recommendation is to send a letter of support with recommendations to the New York City Department of City Planning in favor of the proposed zoning amendments pertaining to the City of Yes for housing opportunity. A zoning reform proposal that would address the housing shortage by making it possible to build a little more housing in every neighborhood. DCP is proposing a citywide zoning text amendment to expand opportunities for housing within all zoning districts. The executive committee voted on each proposed zoning amendment as follows. As you can see, each one was brought up, and the proposed zoning amendment, Town Zoning Center, it was supported with a recommendation. Transit-oriented development was not supported, and we put in our comments. Accessory, we did not support, and we put in our comment. Dwelling units, we did not support, and we put in our comment. District fixes, we said yes. For medium and high density, universal affordability preference, we voted yes with a recommendation. For citywide, lift costly parking mandates, we did not support, and we put in our comment. Convert non-residential buildings to housing, we supported. Small and shared housing, we supported. Campus infill, we supported. In the miscellaneous section, new zoning districts, we supported with a recommendation. Update to mandatory inclusionary housing, we supported. Sliver law, we did not support, and we put in our comment. Quality housing amenity changes, we supported. Landmark transferable development rights, we supported. Railroad and right-of-way, we supported. Does anybody have any questions?
I second the motion.
Thank you. Any questions from the public, from our members?
Yes, what is sliver?
The sliver law.
Yes.
Caesar?
Hello. So thank you. My name is Ben Huff with City Planning. So the changes to the sliver rules, slivers are a term that we use for small lots that are found throughout the city. So they don't conform to your typical lots. Like, you know, if you think of a block of row houses, and then at the very end, a road came through, the lot at the end, it's not the size of the other lots on the block, it's smaller. So this is called a sliver lot. So we proposed some changes that would make it easier for someone to come in and potentially develop it, because the way that the rules exist right now, they're essentially like impossible to build on. So we're trying to address these like really, really small lots, and we proposed some changes to it, which I don't have like right on top of my head, but we have some more information on that. But that's what a sliver is. Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know exactly where it is, but it talks about putting apartments in basements, and there's a reference, rules and regulations are under discussion and will be coming up soon. Has anything been published on how, for apartments that are in flood-prone areas, how those will be addressed?
Yes, definitely. The rules to keep the basement that can be turned into apartments to be safe, they are still in place. Those will not be moved. We are not promoting to put basement apartments in floating areas. Those areas are not included as part of the proposal. But besides the floating areas, it's important to know that and remember that it's not only the part of city planning that makes sure that these spaces are safe to inhabit. It's also the Department of Buildings and the Department of Fire that make sure that the rules and the codes are still in place, those are not being touched. It's just the zones where this is allowed. Yeah.
And for the board members to follow the question that Lowell Green just asked, it's in the subsection low density accessory.
Is that accessory dwelling unit?
Yeah,
It's on page 21, right at the bottom. And it continues on to page 22 at the top.
And we did not support that.
Yes.
Toby, you have a question?
I have a question. I wanted a little bit more clarity about this costly parking mandate that it was not supported. Car ownership is still important for individuals with accessibility constraints sitting in the film. So why would we not support low costly parking mandates?
Because they didn't want to include parking in buildings. So if you have a car, you would not be able to park your car if you were moving into a new dwelling. So they want to reduce car ownership and car moving around. That's my opinion of it. They have their explanation, but I'm telling you how I saw it as a car owner.
What it was, Toby, is that for new development, you wouldn't have,
they wouldn't have to put in parking. So, because they claim that it's too expensive and will take up, housing units. So while we are, but this is says lift costly parking mandates, we don't wanna lift them, we want to keep them, we wanna make sure there is parking when they have new development. That's what we're supporting, we're saying we're not supporting what they're doing, we just remove that.
I just want to be clear, remember, I just want one thing to be clear, these are.
Excuse me, can you talk in the microphone?
Just to be clear, these are amendments to the zoning. This is not anything completely structural. These are just changing to zoning rules that are in our books are antiquated, and some are being brought up to speed and to date for the 21st century.
Yeah, I just wanted to respond to the parking issue. My understanding is, having read it, is that instead of making it mandatory, if you have a 50-unit building, you have to have at least 5 parking spaces. They got rid of that. Now, in a sense, it's optional. They're saying to the developer, hey, if you want to put in parking, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. And the reality is, they should, the amount of space that's dedicated to a parking space, they can get more from rent. There's more money for maintenance for rent. But, so it's kind of like smoke and mirrors. They're not saying you have to put in a certain amount. They're just saying it's up to you.
No, he's correct. Right now, in anywhere outside of Manhattan, specifically boards 1 through 9, parking is required. So for large buildings, for 50-unit building, there's certain requirements for parking. What we've seen over time, this is very expensive for developers to build a building with this additional parking, and we're running out of space. We're either building housing or we're building parking. And I just would like to add, more parking adds more cars to the roads as well. And so there is some additional demand that comes. So, this drives up costs for building housing. And that is why we are removing the requirement and we're making it optional. So developers can still build the parking if they would like, but if they think they can pencil out a good development without it, they're not required to build.
You said in Manhattan, 1 through 9?
We've already lifted this requirement in Manhattan community boards 1 through 9. It's called the Manhattan Core Parking. It was a zoning text amendment we did, I want to say 10 years ago, and it's been effective in building additional housing and not just parking. Yeah.
Hi. So clarifying question about the vote. Are we being asked to vote today on the executive committee's recommendations?
Correct. Where the executive committee, like I said, looked
Over each and every one of these items, and we voted extensively, and we put in our recommendations as to why we were saying yes and why we were saying no.
Right.
That's why we put it in in this order for everyone to understand, because it is lengthy. There's a big packet that was sent out to everyone electronically. There was public hearings, one done with us, another one done by the Bronx Borough President's Office. I believe there were some other elected officials who had them. So we just narrowed it down so it could be simplified for everyone, because this was very complicated to get through.
So if we if an individual board member disagrees with one of the executive committee's recommendations, then
We will take your recommendation we will add it to our motion.
I see. Because what I was worried about was if this is all going to happen.
Right.
Do I have to, if I disagree with one of your recommendations, do I have to vote no? And, basically.
Well, if you have, the way I'm guessing everyone, if anyone has a recommendation, tell us now before we take a vote, because we do want your opinion. We do want your recommendations of it as well.
Well, I don't think it would be helpful in the sense that the executive committee voted.
No, it would be helpful because this was just our interpretation and how we broke it down so that it would be easier for everyone to understand. We knew this was gonna be a possibility of a long motion because people were gonna take their time to read it and have their own recommendations or wanted to add or take away from what we put in.
So, sorry, I received a question, so in casting a vote, could we vote and say,
Well, if you disagree with one of our, if you disagree with one of our, if it's the recommendation you disagree with, we will take to note your comment.
So we should do that as we're casting our vote, or?
I'm gonna try to do that before that, so that everybody gets a chance, if there's something that they want to add or retract from it, that we want this to be the clearest motion with everyone's input. Okay?
I just wanted to say that I want to thank former board member Eric Asensio, because he did a deep dive for us, and really, although this gentleman really gave us a good explanation, Eric did a deep dive because a lot of it we did not understand, and he went through it piecemeal to help us to understand what all of the language meant. Because sometimes the language seems a little confusing, and you're not quite sure what they were getting at, even though he went into a deep explanation. But Eric really clarified it, and that's why some of these why the recommendations came the way they did.
Thank you, Eric, we really appreciate you. I'm sorry? Adeline?
I would like clarification on these because this is a very important decision we have to make. Because number one, we have town center zoning, concerns that more housing will create more congestion in our district. That's a given. And I don't know how tall the buildings are gonna go, or the homes that we have and the buildings we now have on Marshall Parkway being 20, 40, 50 stories high. This is a lot of stuff we don't understand to vote on this. At first I was for this. I was listening to the videos at home and I voted, but then when I looked back, I live at Serving Gardens and it's congested in my community and the building's going up like crazy as it is right now as I'm sitting here. And we don't have any services that we need in our community. And I wanted to also ask, is this being equally done in every single borough in the city of New York? Is this equally done in Staten Island, Manhattan, as it was done in the Bronx? I don't want the Bronx to be looking like, tons of Tracy Tower buildings. No offense to Tracy Towers, but we do have a neighborhood. So, I'm just saying, we need to understand what each one is to vote on this, because I have 7 yeses and 2 noes on congestion. This is automatically gonna create congestion. We have it on 198th Street, they don't even have a cafe to go to.
Yeah, Adeline, thank you.
So I'm just wanting to know
that's-
more about this, and I wanna know how tall the buildings are gonna be, and if somebody can clarify each one so we know how to vote. Thank you.
Yeah, so the reason why we shared the recording of the meeting was so it went into detail into each one of the sections. We shared the recording of the public hearing, and we also shared the recording of the executive meeting. And this was so it will go into detail, into taking a deep dive, so you will come ready to this meeting and provide comments and on any of the items. But also, Cesar can give you a little bit of more update about the height of the town center.
Yeah, we can talk a little bit about how the amendment tailors to each of the neighborhoods. As you see, the amendment is divided by lower density and medium density, high density, also citywide and miscellaneous. That is the way we approach to tailor to each specific type of neighborhood. That's the way that we do it with the zoning resolution, right? But also, and I'm gonna respond to both of you in the same one, if you don't agree with one of the motions on, like in the individual section, one of the ones that you see on your paper, you can always send your own observation to an email that we've been circulating around, and you can give your entire observation to Ritchie specifically or to the entire amendment, and it's housing opportunity at planning.nyc.gov. And we will be happy to listen to the specific observation on either if it's an entire amendment or each of the sections. And yeah, that's what I wanted to add.
Also, for the board members, Carla, Stephen, and Christiana did a great job of sending out a few emails with the links. So this is what it looks like. This is what we went through, one by one by one. And we had a packet that explained every single thing. We had DCP at several town halls. They were at several meetings. The VP's office held their own public hearing on it as well. It's been recorded, it's online. A lot of this information was blasted out so that everyone can have more of an informed idea of what this was. All of us sitting here, trust me, we were sitting there past 9 o'clock at night going through this and making sure that each and every one of us, if we had a doubt as to what we were voting on, we had clarity, and that was Eric was involved, Caesar was involved, and all of us sat down and really took a really good look at what we were doing. That's why it is broken down the way that it is for everyone to understand.
I just wanted to ask, when it comes to the housing, we don't have enough parking spaces, period. To even consider when it comes to parking, everything is congested in the streets, no one can park. If you move your car, you can't, some people are not going anyplace because they can't move their cars. They don't want to take transportation because they're a little scared right now with taking transportation. So there's really, everything is just so limited. This is just a point of concern. I realize you might be taking things, taking hours. I get it. I did not maybe, you sent out information, but in hearing some things now and having a chance to look at it and do it, that's just a really big concern when it comes to me.
I also want to clarify that on page 22, where it says citywide, and it says lift costly parking mandates, the executive voted to not support. And then the recommendation is that car ownership is still important for individuals with accessibility constraints, seniors, and families with children. So the executive committee voted to not lift the mandates.
So I understand, I understand what you did, when I'm talking about, when we start talking about more housing, period. It's not about what you voted for or against, but when we start talking about more housing in the Bronx, we don't have any areas to even park, that's what I was talking about. It's very congested here. Right. It's very congested, there's nowhere to park, and then that also has to do with clean air. When we talk about the quality of living and quality of life, you need to be able to have clean air. You don't have it if everything is congested.
I guess what I strongly object to is the situation where the city, the mayor's office will say, Bronx Community Board 7 supports City of Yes for housing opportunity. You guys spent a lot of time going through each individual item. I don't understand why the city doesn't have the capacity to record those votes. So Board 7 will be yes for number 1, whatever. So they go through the city, because right now what they're gonna say is, the vast majority of all the boards in the city support the City of Yes. And that is absolutely not true. It's like the fix is in, my hands are tired. Right now, I object to almost half of them, but I'll vote yes, because I don't have a choice. And I think that's
tell the board members on this particular motion, we've always, all of us have had a choice. You either vote yes, no, or abstain. We've all had that option on this motion per se. If you
But the way
disagree,
the motion's presented, that's not accurate.
I understand, Andrew, but we had an obligation to sit down and go through all of this because there is a time constraint where we have to say, collectively as a board, do we go with this? Do we prove it or not? So in order to make it easier, because we knew this was going to happen, we talked about it at length. This is why it was broken down the simplest way possible, and we all agreed to break it down this way so everyone can have a better understanding as to why we got to where we got. Caesar?
It is very important to remember that it is not yes or no. The motion is yes with conditions, and that is the way that it's recorded in the public system. Yes with conditions, and the conditions are the sentences that you see here, and those are counted when we draft the very last amendment. We take into account those conditions and consider if it's whether a majority and accepted to the public to include all of the initiatives or not. For example, for the City of Yes Housing, City for Economic Opportunity, not the entire amount of the initiatives made it at the end because of the input that we got from the community. So it is very important that it is recorded as yes with conditions, and the conditions that you agree or not are recorded.
I just want an example of what to convert non-residential buildings to housing. So does that mean like the way that was at Ford, that's on Ford Road, that's no longer in business? So when you say convert non-residential buildings to housing, is it the Wayne Week type of situation?
I can answer that. Yeah. No, that's a really good question. Right. So the way that this initiative has worked is they take large office buildings, usually in Manhattan, and they're the right size. They're too expensive to tear down and rebuild as housing, but they can convert that empty office building to housing. Right now, the way that it's written, only buildings built before 1977 apply for that conversion. We're going to change that to 1990. I highly doubt that they're going to come for the Dwayne Reed. That building really only makes sense as a similar type of big box store. This is really targeted towards these high-rise commercial office buildings in Manhattan, and we'll go from 1977 to 1990. So buildings that were built in the 80s that make sense and pencil out, for someone to convert them, they would have the opportunity to do so.
Okay, thank you.
I'll preface this, I own a co-op. And Thursday, we just had our annual meeting. 80% of our budget goes to insurance and Con Ed. And it says, they talk about affordable housing and new housing for people. None of this whole discussion are we talking about these fixed costs of how we're gonna lower insurance costs for buildings, for private homes, whatever, and how are we going to see that Con Ed costs don't keep going through the ceiling. And nobody is talking about any of that. And I think it's unfair to talk about, new housing, all this, without talking about these fixed conditions that we, as a homeowner or renter, can't do anything about.
I'm happy to respond to that comment, and we're certainly sympathetic to those concerns, and I don't like paying my Con Ed bill either, This is a zoning text amendment, so this is really just focused on zoning resolution, and the tools that we need to build more housing and, you know, have more supply to make it more affordable. That's really the point of this. It's a zoning text amendment. However, I don't want to discount these other concerns, and that's helpful feedback that if there's other ways that you can, you know, get that information over to us. If you want to, like Caesar mentioned, the email address, talk about these other things, cost of housing, that'll be helpful for the record. But just this is a zoning text amendment that usually it doesn't touch insurance or electricity costs, unfortunately.
And even when we can, I'm just gonna add very quickly, even when we cannot intervene with those topics, we do take into account affordability, meaning we create space in the zoning resolution to increase the amount of affordable units, even when we don't control how much affordable it can be, or we don't control AMIs, for example. That's not part of our scope of work. We do, we are promoting to increase the amount of affordability in terms of the amount of space that can be created. Yeah, but that's not something that we can control.
Just have the rental thing where I think they need to increase rent. If wasn't there legislature like that was just passed. So what is affordable? What is?
No, that's a catchphrase that nobody can really give you an explanation of, because affordable means whatever they say they want.
We have someone raising the hand, and is a representative from Housing Preservation and Development that maybe has some answers.
Okay, first, just on the one point that was just talked about, as part of affordable. Generally speaking, and this has been true for many, many, many years, the rule of thumb within the industry is that you people should not be paying more, should be paying about 30% of their income for shelter for rent. And so that's what's used in many, many ways for many programs. When we finance buildings, new buildings, that's what is used as well. That people who are eligible, income eligible, then the rents are established about that much. So basically that's the rule of thumb, about 30%. For some of these things, you know, we talk about like, I want to touch on the parking. And I think everybody understands that parking is a problem every place, all over the city. This does not in any way change any existing parking. But I will say that one of the things that happens is, you know, and I think many of you know this, of course, that many, many, many buildings, including in this district, have been built using financing from the city, from HPD. And very often when we go back years later, we find that the garage is half empty, the parking lot is half empty, because people aren't using them. The number that's used now as to the cost of a parking space in a building, a new construction building, is about $67,000 a parking space. That's a lot of money going into a building. And frankly, our attitude is, we'd rather house people than house cars. Now, as earlier said, is that if a developer, because you know, a lot of the new development that's going on, people are not using financing from the city, from us. They're getting private financing, and they're just using one of the tax incentive programs. And I'll talk about that in a second. Now, so if somebody buys a property, private property, and they want to build housing, and they don't want to come to HPD to get financing, then they can build it as per zoning. If they want to include parking, they can. And I say very often, and I see a lot of the times that the new buildings that are being proposed are posted, and a lot of times I'll see, it'll mention there'll be 10 spaces, 13 spaces, 16 spaces, things like that. So a lot of developers do want to include parking, especially if the rents are fairly high in those buildings. So that's one of the reasons why, you know, that's one of the issues, one of the items. Another point that came up was about the accessory dwelling units. That's ones where it means to try to legalize a basement apartment, or even to build brand new. So let's say you have a single family house that's on a property and they have a good sized backyard. or a side yard, and there's space to build an extension to create another apartment. Let's say it's a 2-family house, and you want to make it into a 3-family house. Most of the time, the way the laws are now, you can't do that. This would allow you to do that. And I know, like, one of the things that I think this is your wording that you're concerned about is that they're not going to be safe. They're not going to be, they'll be illegal in many ways and dangerous. But that's exactly the point. Right now, these basement apartments exist all over the city, and they are dangerous, many of them. So the idea behind this is that you can convert that, you can make it legal, or you can build an extension, but not just any way you want. There will be rules. There will be, the buildings department will require that all the same things that go into building a 1-family house or a 2-family house, if you want to build that extension, it's fine. You have to follow the rules to make them safe. And if you can't, and in some cases you won't be able to, maybe there won't be enough of a side yard, to do it. So in those cases, the answer is going to be no, you can't. So there is a lot behind. I know the entire thing. There's like 1,000 pages or something. There's a lot of detail here. And what city planning has done, which I think is very helpful, is this worksheet where they broke it down into like 15 or 18 different component pieces. And that gives, there was another community board elsewhere in the Bronx that I was at the meeting, and everybody came into the meeting and said, we're against this, we're against this, we're not going to talk about it, we're going to vote no. But the person chairing the meeting then said, well, wait a second. Out of these 15 or so things, some of these things make sense. And so that's why they then used the worksheet that city planning made up to go one by one, which is exactly what your board did. So that, and then another thing, they talk about, you can say yes with conditions. It's, or modifications is another word, which I think maybe is a little more helpful. That, so you might want to say, overall, the whole idea of every district doing a little bit, so that overall for the city, there could be a good increase in the number of housing units if everybody does their part. But there are some things here that you may not like or agree with, and we understand that. And so you can say, you vote yes with modification. Modification being, don't eliminate the mandate for parking, for example, or something else that might want to. By the way, one other point that I've heard was there was concern about the town center proposal, and I think, I'm not sure that's clear what that means. In a lot of places in the city, and certainly in the Bronx, where there's a commercial strip, there's also housing. So it's like, there'll be stores on the first floor, and let's say 2 more floors above it with apartments. That's very typical in areas of the Bronx. But if you don't have that, if you just have the stores that we call taxpayers, you can't build on top of them now. So what this will say is it'll allow you to build, the owner of the property obviously, you can build on top another 3 floors, right? I think it is 2 or 3 floors? Maximum, yeah. So, right, so you can't build a 20-story building above it if it's an existing 1-story. You can do 2 or 3 more floors. And that's not different than it exists in a lot of places. So a lot of these proposals, if you really think about them, they're not so different from what exists. It's just that over the years, the various things have been done to the zoning resolution that make it difficult to do. And it's not like this is going to solve the housing problem all by itself, but it's a little bit that'll help. So I think if there's any other questions specifically from the housing point of view, I'm happy to.
Jake, I know you had your hand up. Robin, I think you had your hand up earlier. Okay. Samantha? Okay. Okay. With that being said, it's past 8 o'clock now. Guess I'm gonna open it up to if there's any changes to any of the recommendations that some of our board members would like to add or take away.
So, can I just go on the record and say what I support? All right, thank you. I just want to go on the record and say what I support. So, for example, transit-oriented development, I do support it. I also support accessory dwelling units. Yeah, I just wanna go through list. I just wanna go on the record and say what I support, and then we can move forward with the vote.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Supporting transit-oriented development, supporting accessory dwelling units, supporting lifting the costly parking mandates, and supporting the sliver law. Thank you.
You support. Also, I said it earlier, there's this worksheet. No, go ahead. But for everyone else, you can do this individually, correct, Caesar?
Yes, you can always.
Okay.
complete
You,
this.
as an individual, not just as a board member, as an individual, you can submit your own vote. This is what it looks like. You can submit your own vote with your own recommendations and your own ideas. Like he said, everything is being taken into account, whether you vote yes, no, or and give a reasoning why. It's all being taken into account. Not just what we've done as a body, but you yourself as an individual, as a resident of this city, your voice can be heard too by answering this and submitting it. Okay? Robin?
Yeah, I'm still, like everyone else, like the way this is put together, I say yes, and rather, that I say yes to this vote, rather than going through all the things I agree with or don't agree with, and everyone else doing it now the evening. It's just, I'm just having trouble with the, how we're voting, like, if you say yes, like, agree with it, overall, but then there's a little pieces, so do I need to go through each one? Do we all need to go through each one and say yes, we agree, or we don't agree with it?
I think what we tried to do was, as the executive board, we tried to go through it very diligently. And that's why I committed to both of these gentlemen for doing a deep dive and explaining in very minute detail, because I had 10 jillion questions. And Eric really helped me out a lot, because the language confused me, some of it, and this gentleman who I don't remember his name right now, Caesar. So they really went through it piecemeal. So what we're basically saying is, these are recommendations that we came through after beating it to death. You still, as an individual, could go and submit your own individual opinions of how you feel, but we're asking you to either accept or not accept what we decided on when we did the questionnaire. But then you have the opportunity to have your voice heard. Everybody's voice should be heard. And that's what we want to make clear. This is how we as the executive committee voted, and you'll either say yes or no, but you still go one line, like the two of you have questions and other people here have questions. As an individual, you still have the right to go in and vote for yourself.
I understand that, and we could, that as an individual, we have the right to vote, but I'm saying as for our vote here, as board members, I'm just trying to make sure I understand how I'm voting. And it just.
It's either yes or
Right,
no.
wait, so, I will explain this. So this is the motion, right? So now, the motion is being discussed. If there is, let's say, transit-oriented development, it's up to the chair to say, well, who else is against, what the executive committee voted, and this is how you provide your opinion. There's also recommendations and comments, and there is a lot of them that are missing. And to Lowell's point, Con Edison is pretty expensive, but that's not necessarily something that is being reviewed at this moment, right? This is purely land use and zoning. You could add comments there when it comes to affordability of these issues, and when they're new buildings are being built, are they all running on electricity, right? So maybe that's a comment that you could make. We believe that not all of it, not the whole building should not be running on electricity. That's some of the complaints that we have gotten on the community board, where people find that their electric bill is really high because everything is running on Canadian. And so, you know, those are some of the comments that at this moment in time, those are some of the comments that you can elevate. So when I am drafting the letter, like I said, you're either voting to support conditions or you're voting not to support with conditions. And those are actually spelled out individually, and this whole document will be submitted as well.
You know what, Carla, I'm thinking, you listed here how many votes we had for each individual thing that we voted on. So basically, as we go through it, except for the executive members that were there, your vote would be added to the total. So here it says, new zoning districts. There were 7 yeses, 1 no, 1 abstention. So now, to that 7 yeses, 1 no, you're gonna be added. So I think that would probably make sense. It's not gonna work like that.
I believe that if Matt, can I have a chance?
We're voting for the entire thing.
Everyone, we're gonna vote as a whole. Give me 1 second, Adeline. We're gonna vote as a whole, okay? We've explained over and over the individuality of you voting on presenting on your own, right? This is what we came down with, piece by piece by piece. And it's a lot. We're not arguing that it's not, because it was a lot for all of us to even understand piece by piece what we were looking at, what the explanations were, what we were looking for in terms of our geography of our district. So we went through all these pieces little by little. As board members, also, you have a responsibility to look at this information also and come to the meetings and voice your concerns, because it's not just us, you know, that we're just a body of people, but it's also a responsibility to come to these meetings and get informed so that when we have something like this, everyone is on board and understands what we did as a whole. Okay?
So I'm not terribly comfortable with the fact that we're doing one vote, which is how a lot of us feel, and we have voiced that. But I've also been assured that this is not the last time we're looking at this, that we will get a correction or an updated piece that we can vote on again. Because if I didn't feel that way, I would probably be voting differently.
Well, I want to clarify, the deadline for the community board to provide an opinion is July 8th. After that time, there's no more opinion coming from the community board. There will be other steps along the process, so eventually this goes, the board president's office already held a public hearing, they will be sending the recommendations. The vote for that at the Board of Service Cabinet meeting is on July 8th. And then after that, it moves back to Department of City Planning, or is that the last step? At some point, your city council will also vote on this. And they also have recommendations. I do know that Councilmember Dinowitz has a section in his newsletter that says, do you have any opinion on this that's coming up? So that's also another venue for you to voice your opinion.
So just to finish that, I really, again, I said it before, but I think that it was done very poorly to force us to have one vote, even though we're giving comments. It just feels, because we've had zoning issues before and things haven't always turned out the way we wanted, I think there could have been a more elegant solution to this.
Okay, yeah.
I appreciate the work that went into it.
In response to that, we did 2 presentations, very thorough. We opened up the floor for an entire public hearing in one of the committees, besides the citywide info sessions, and I came to the boards, the community, the committees are not gonna let me lie here. I came in person and I invited for the info sessions. I handed pamphlets, etc. We cannot commit to do 15 votes per community board because we are 50-something community boards citywide. So yes, the part of the outreach with the community is just one portion. It will go to council, borough president, and yes, and just to correct, we won't come back with a revised version for another vote. This cannot be that slow. The reason why we are doing it because it's very urgent to start producing the housing. And I do have the answer for your, why it's not very clear if you're voting to support the notion or each one. So the executive committee already is creating a motion of supporting 11 of them and 4 not to support. So if you agree in the majority of that, you should vote yes with the conditions. And if you don't agree with that notion of 11 yes, 4 no, you should say no. And you are also free to take the microphone and list the ones that you don't agree with, and then also email us to Housing Opportunity Planning.
I will also share a logistic piece. When I am submitted this on the back end, it's one document. We're voting one way. You either approve as a community board, approve with conditions, you do not approve and you don't approve with conditions, or you do not have an opinion altogether. Those are the options that, that we're given as an office to submit comment. And then once we submit the comment, we submit our motion, the vote, individual votes with names, and all of this information is public too. This is the way that you all voted. It's the same process that we adopted for City of Youth for Economic Opportunity.
As a part of the housing committee for many, many months now, I would commend DCP and Cesar for coming out. He has just made himself available. I did the minutes on many meetings. He just, so much outreach and so many opportunities for people to weigh in. And I just want to thank you for that. No one here can say they didn't know about any of this. And the board, Carla, you've been sending it out. Please make comments. Please fill it out. So there has been a tremendous outreach here. And I want to
Yes,
thank
ma'am. Do your homework. Read those.
Adeline?
Yes, I want to mention that 10 boards voted no about the city of New York, and some of them voted conditional favorable and unfavorable to conditional unfavorable. And in the Bronx, 10, 5, and 6 voted no. 9 voted unconditional favorable. These are our neighbors in the Bronx. So I don't agree with this. When I look at this and I see Queens, same thing, they have a lot of conditional favorable to conditional unfavorable. Nobody's voting yes or no, but they're voting no.
Adeline, that's what this means. This
I know,
means
but if you're voting
this
no-
means conditional favorable.
Okay,
That's
but
what it
they're
means.
also, in the Bronx, there's 10, 5, and 6 voted just plain no.
But that's their vote, so this is what we're doing. We're having a discussion over it so that we
Is
can,
there a vote to say we're saying unconditional favorable?
well, unconditional, in my opinion, means no. They may just wanted to say something else versus a no, but we all have the option to vote yes, no, or abstain.
But once they do it, do we have any veto rights on when construction's happening? Do we have any veto rights as a board? I agree with Colleen.
Advisory.
Yes, we do. They do come to the board. We do go through the same process. That process has not changed. We gotta remember, this is zoning amendments. This is not changing how construction's being made. This is not changing anything that's already in place. This is just a zoning amendment to put everything up to date so that maybe better things can happen in our neighborhood. And we've gone through each and every one that has been brought to us, and we're voicing our concerns, whether we support it or yes or no.
And Adeline, just to clarify too, as of right building, as of right development will still be happening as it is right now. Any ULURP will still go through the ULURP process and come before the community board.
Yeah. Okay,
I need clarification on the motion. I'd like to know where did the language come from would agree with, send a letter of support with recommendations, blah, 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 ULURP number, blah, 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 period. Why we have in the motion, I think this is opinion, and I don't know where it came from. This is, that's me saying, a zoning reform proposal that would address the housing shortage by making it possible to build a little more housing in every neighborhood. Like, where did that, I mean, who said that that's what this does? And why would that be in there? That's political, and that came from the city, and I object to that. It should be, we're voting on the ULURP, period. We don't need to be told what it's going to do. There may be people who object to that. So where did that come from?
That's from the actual.
Andrew, but that's what the zoning change is doing.
Public can't talk. That's your opinion, that's an opinion.
No, that's literally what it's
Public can't talk.
trying to do.
I think that's an opinion.
Would this-
I think
okay.
that shouldn't be in there.
Would this sound better, Andrew? Send a letter of support with, maybe not recommendations, with conditions and modifications to the New York City Department of City Planning, DCP, in favor of the proposed zoning amendments pertaining to the City of Yes for housing opportunity under the ULURP number, period. Does that make sense to everybody? I'm gonna read it again. I'm gonna say it again. Send a letter of support with recommendations, conditions, and modifications to the New York City Department of City Planning, DCP, in favor of the proposed zoning amendments pertaining to City of Yes for housing opportunity under ULURP number N240290ZRY, period. You all agree?
Agreed.
Agreed. So that is the motion. Thank you, Chad. And we'll take a vote. No, change on the motion, the name of the motion. This is just renaming the motion.
Larissa Costa. Tasha Andrews. Betty Arset. Yahira Arias. Michelle Avila. Toby Buford. Manjur Chowdhury. Kamali Corley. Sandra Erickson. Alfred Grant's absent. Lowell Green. Leslie Harrison. Helene Hartman Kudnowski approves. Jean Hill. Andrew Leosa. Rosalie Leslie. Jesus Lopez Henson. Marion Parafilis, not here. Diana Pena. Edgar Ramos is still not here. Robin Roland.
Abstain.
Do you wish to be noted?
Robert, you want to be noted? Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Chad Royer.
Chad Royer approves.
Mamadou Sarana, not here. Samantha Suvatsis. Robert Stronza. Gwen Thomas Steed, not here. Adeline Walker Santiago. Okay. Jake Wilson. Not here. Jake.
Quorum?
She was here. Okay, Bernard Wright is not here. Thank you.
Okay, so motion passed in changing the motion to, and I'm gonna say it one more time, to send a letter of support with recommendations, conditions, and modifications to the New York City Department of City Planning, DCP, in favor of the proposed zoning amendments pertaining to the City of Yes for housing opportunity under ULURP number N240290ZRY. And now we'll take a vote as to the motion itself.
And I second the motion.
Thank you, Barbara.
Larry Costa.
Approves.
Tasha Andrews. Betty Arset. Yahira Arias. Michelle Avila. Toby Buford. Manjur Chowdhury. Kamali Corley. Sandra Erickson. Alfred Grant is absent. Lowell Green.
I approve and I disapprove some of the things, so I'm abstaining.
Do you wish to be noted?
Correct, you can.
Okay. Leslie Harrison,
Abstain.
do you wish to be noted? Okay. Helene Hartman Godowski approves. Jean Hill?
Approves.
Andrew Leosa?
Approves.
Okay, Rosalie Leslie is not here. Jesus Lopez Henson?
No.
Okay. Marion Parafelice is not here. Tayena Pena?
Abstains.
And do you wish to be noted?
Yes.
Okay. Edgar Ramos is not here. Robin Roland?
Abstain, I wish to be noted.
Noted. Thank you. Chair Royer?
Yes.
Mamadou Sarno is still not here. Samantha Suvatsis?
Abstains, and I'd like to be noted.
Okay. Barbara Stronza?
Approves.
Gwen Thomas Steed is not here. Adeline Walker Santiago? Okay. Jake Wilson? Jake here?
She was here.
She's absent now, okay. Bernard Wright is absent. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. We have 3 noes. And the rest are, let's see, so we got 13, 3 noes and
Abstentions.
we have 5 abstentions. Thank you, guys. So, I'm sorry. We have 12 yes, 5 abstentions, and 3 noes. We had a few people that left, so.
I have a parliamentary question. If we started the meeting with a quorum, and by the end of the meeting, we don't have a quorum, we can still take votes, correct?
We still have a quorum. We have a quorum.
Oh, okay.
We have a quorum, yes.
Quorum is 16 members present.
Yeah, we have a quorum.
Okay.
So we have 12 yeses, 5 abstentions, 3 noes. That makes it 20 people. So we do have quorum, so it does pass. Motion passes. Thank you, everyone. We're gonna move on with the agenda. Okay, and then we're gonna move on to committee chairs reports. We can make this kind of quick. We're gonna start it off with sanitation. Ready?
Well, we didn't meet, we'll be meeting in September.
Okay, traffic and transportation. Edgar is not here. Anyone was at the meeting?
But his minutes are on page 25 and 26.
On to housing. Okay, no quorum was met, but we did briefly discuss what we just voted on. Ladies, education.
We did not meet, we'll be meeting in September.
Barbara, Parks and Recreation.
Yes, we did have, we had Sergeant Marrero from the Parks Enforcement Patrol. Unfortunately, staffing is down for the parks, and we're not sure if we're going to get an uptick depending on the budget and all, and the mayor. He suggested if there is a problem in the park that you would like to report, to first call 311 before you call the PEP office, and I can give you the number for the PEP office. It's 212-274-4560. His staff is down, and I understand from the district manager of the parks, in the past, he's had 40
grass cutters for 4 districts. And this year, for the same amount of districts, he only has 20 grass cutters. So right now, things are not looking good for our summer in the parks.
Public safety and quality of life.
I'll pass.
All right, for public safety, we met with Veterans Affairs, we had CCRB come in, we had DV come in, and they had really good information sessions with regards to what resources are out there. I know that quality of life and public safety is a huge issue going on in our district and in our borough. The only thing I can tell you guys is to call 311. Call 311, send it to us, send it to Carla, at least it'll get to the elected officials. In terms of public safety and quality of life, you guys gotta come. If you guys come to wherever it is, whether it's at Tracy Towers, we're gonna be bouncing around the district, come and voice your opinions. We take notes down, it goes in the minutes, and it goes to the electeds. So, I mean, it's just more voices, and then we get to be heard. If I don't get people to the committee, then what can we do, right? Right, does that make sense? All right, so, that's all.
Yeah, on the veteran side, our next meeting will be September 18, 2024. That date is subject to change. We did promote a yoga event that was held this past Saturday, past Monday, at Tracy Towers. Jean was there, I was there. We hope to have a continuation of that. That's all I have to know.
Thank you, Chad. Health and Human Services, I stepped in for Michelle. It did not meet quorum, but it will meet again in September. Jean, budget?
Budget personnel will be meeting tomorrow at Tracy Towers at 6:30. All are invited, all are welcome, and we will finalize what our monies were spent during our session of this year and what monies we might get going forward for our next session. Our year end is June 30th, and we have to have all our monies accounted for by then, so come to our meeting tomorrow and you'll get that information.
Thank you, Jean. In the back of the packet is the September calendar with all of the committee meetings that have been set up. They may be subject to change. It doesn't have the locations yet, but Carla, Stephen, and Christiana will make sure that once those locations are set, everyone gets the email blast. Okay, moving along, I'm gonna go to the elected officials really quickly. Congressman Espaillat's office. Congressman Ritchie Torres' office. Mayor's office. Alina?
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm just going to keep it short and brief. For any unfamiliar faces, I'm Alina Dow. I'm the Bronx Borough Director for the Mayor's Community Affairs. Very nice to see you all. I did want to just alliterate what a lot of them were saying. Please call 311. That is the best point of contact right now when you're making a complaint. I am not going on summer sabbatical, so if you need me, you can contact me. What I'd say is that you sort of follow the course. You call 311. If you haven't gotten a reply, then you sort of reach out to your community boards, and then together you can also reach out to me at the same time. And I will say this, it usually takes more than one. So I heard you, I felt so bad, I understand, but that's why we talk about coming to the community boards, being a part of the community. The mayor says it all the time, one person can't do it. So while that noise might be affecting you, everyone else around you is not complaining about it. And I think that's why there's no laws that have been implemented to actually say, hey, the noise ordinance has to come back like it used to be 20 years ago. My phone number is area code 914, if anybody wants to take it down, 914-446-8393, and my email is adow@cityhall.nyc.gov. I'm not leaving, and I'll be sure to speak to anyone afterwards. I will say that the mayor is having a lot of events throughout the city this year, so if you can, throughout the summer, so if you can, please join. The festivities are usually really fun. In addition to that, as you know, the City of Yes is something that the mayor is really working really hard on, and having your input is very important, but putting your input is a big part of it. And we just literally had, with our neighborhood city, CB7 did submit some streets, and I know that the Director of Quality of Life is working to address some of the issues in and around the Fordham and Kingsbridge area. And right now we are working on the commission, the Charter Revision Commission. Oh, it's always a tongue twister to me, I'm sorry. The Charter Revision Commission, and that's right now taking place. You don't have to necessarily go in person, but logging in, being able to stand up and say that you want to be part of the public and have word on things that are happening or taking place right now. And I've been sharing them with the different community boards, and I'll share them with all the constituents as well to be a part of that. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Happy summer to everyone. And thank you, CB7, for all that you do. You guys know you're my favorite board, not just because they're CB7, but because I live in CB7, so. I'm sorry, I see your question.
So I just saw a really cool PSA from Assemblymember Kenny Burgos talking about how there's now a new form to report N311 that you can do it electronically instead of calling in. Has that already launched? Is that accurate, or how is that anymore?
Yes, so it's for accountability. The mayor's a number man. He's an avid reader, and he's big on technology, and he's also big on accountability. What was taking place is that the way that the system works, we have our elected officials that didn't contact the city agencies. The agencies are under the mayor. And it was getting to the point where a lot of things were happening with the agencies, but then they were saying that the mayor's not doing anything. How can you have the mayor's city's agencies outside shredding papers, but yet saying that the mayor's not doing anything? Yep. So he really just wanted to make sure that there was accountability, and I agree with it 100%. And I think that, I know it's a little hard sometimes, but that didn't go for constituent concerns. So that only is being used when they want to hold an event. Yep. So if there was a constituent, I think Kenny Burgos I spoke to the other day. So if there's a constituent that's having an issue, that is not something that needs to be put in the application. He knows they contact us right away, and we try to address it right away. I have my councilman, even Daddy Dinowitz, he spoke to me about something. That gets handled right away. It's really more so about having any of the city agencies come and hold an event with them or on behalf of them.
Thank you for that.
You're very welcome. Any other question? Going once, going twice? Happy summer.
Okay, next we have New York City Public Advocate's Office, New York City Comptroller's Office, Bronx Borough President's Office, Kenny was not going to be here, Bronx District Attorney's Office. You've been with us all evening.
Hello everyone, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I don't know. My name is Jerome Blondet with the District Attorney's Office. Nothing for me to report right now. We have a couple events happening in the summer, early fall. We have a free entry fair happening CB5 at Webster PAL on Webster Avenue. I think the date is August 20th. They're having a DV5K in October 19th. And I'm ramping up for a Bronx tour for the new ADAs for the office. I have my phone number, my cell phone here. Sorry, cards and cell phone number beside. Come to me if you need that. Any questions for me?
How many VAs are you getting? Is that enough?
So I think last year we brought in 80 ADAs to fill most of the units or the bureaus. I think we get that number, 80 to 100 or so. What happens is attrition. So after the first year, after 2 years, some of the ADAs go to private practices, make more money. Some they stay with the call, that calling for the Bronx, Bronx residents, so they stay for their lifetime. But I'll get that information for you too. Also, if you're interested for our court tour during the summer, we talked to Chad a couple weeks ago. We'll get that as well. 5 to 10 people, it's enough. It's basically a civic class. Civic class.
They want to give you a phone number again.
Yes, my cell phone number is 917-946-3438. That's my double check.
You don't call yourself.
Yeah, 917-946-3438.
Shout out to Trina for the workshop at Quality of Life.
Thank you. Okay, moving along, State Senator Gustavo Rivera's office. Sadi?
Good evening, everyone. I don't have a couple of updates. As you know, the mayor's RGB board voted to increase rent for rent stabilized units to 2.75 for 1 year, to 5.25 for 2 years. That is a final vote. In regards to cannabis shops, we've been in contact with OCM and the sheriff's office to tackle a couple of these illegal smoke shops. At this time, there was a workshop about a week and a half ago maybe, where they talked about how can we verify which are illegal and which are currently licensed. And it's a sticker on the front of their the storefront. It's usually very green, and I'll forward it to Carla, but if anything, I'll also share it with folks. If you're interested, I'll give you my card. And I want to provide an update on the Kingsbridge Underpass, and the Poe Park, and the Poe Place, and so many more of the concerns around that area, St. James, and I can keep going, right? The senator has been hosting a lot of conversations regarding this area. One of the concerns that was brought up was folks from Poe Place stopped by the 5-2 last week. They mentioned, it's a private street, so it's very hard to have agencies in this area. There was a confusion that this would turn into a city street. Unfortunately, at this time, there are no plans to convert it into a city street. We're looking into other ways that we could potentially help out these homeowners in connecting with resources and ways that they could potentially have the city street. It just costs, unfortunately, it's all about money, right? So it all comes down to that. We'll be continuing to have these conversations regarding the underpass roundtable with other elected officials, and as well CB7. They've been, part of these conversations and have been voicing all of their concerns. So I just want to give a shout out to CB7 for doing that, because they've been very, on top of it. A couple of event updates. Our district office will be closed next week. However, we'll be monitoring voicemails in terms of constituent cases as well. We'll be sending out check-ins, scheduled texts, etc. If you are for a couple of events, I'll go to events. Sorry, guys. If you are in need of school supplies or backpacks, please reach out to me. If you know of any organization, of someone who might just need these resources, please contact me. We do allocate these supplies to organizations that have events in the district. So if you are planning on having an event, please reach out to me in a timely manner so that we can allocate a couple of these things to you, right? And get back to the community. But more in July, we'll be having our senior health fair and luncheon. This year we'll have it at Lehman College Music Building. Usually this is attended by 200 seniors, so if you know anyone, if you are interested, you can call our district office. It should be in the flyer as well, starting July 8th. And I think that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Okay, next we have. Okay, well, what Sadi was referring to is on page number 6, which shows a image of what a licensed cannabis shop would have showing on their window. So this is what it would look like. So we can differentiate what's legal and what is not. Yeah, okay, page number 6 of our packet. Moving along, State Senator Robert Jackson's office. Okay. Assembly Member George Alvarez's office. Assembly Member Jeffrey Dinowitz's office. Assembly Member John Zacaro Jr.'s office. Anna?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ayana, and I'm with the Assembly Member of Johnson Carl Jr.'s office. I hope that you all are staying cool this summer, especially with the rising temperatures. I'm just here to recap what's going on lately in our district and talk about a couple of events our office has coming up. Our office was so happy to have seen so many people come out this past Saturday for our second annual summer kickoff. We're still reviewing the numbers, but thousands of community members came out to enjoy the afternoon. This Friday from 11 to 1 p.m., we will be hosting a shredding event outside our office located at 2018 Williamsbridge Road. We have an upcoming movie night under the stars that will take place on July 27th at Loretto Park from 9 to 11 p.m. And the featured film will be the movie Wonka. And we have many more summer events coming up, including food giveaways, park cleanups, silent discos, family fun days, and more. Keep up to date with our social channels and email blasts. As always, if you have any questions or concerns, don't hesitate to reach out to our office at 718-409-0109. Thank you.
Thank you, Ayana. Next, we have Assembly Member Yudelka Tapias' office. Okay. Council Member Oswald Felice's office. George.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
We finally here at the ending. I'm sorry, y'all was about to get me to sleep. I thought we was about to sleep over here. So, yes, my name is George Cook. I'm from Councilmember Oswald Felice. I actually wanted to apologize to the gentleman, Mr. Hernandez, for the big ruckus on Sunday. It was a good time. I'm sorry, it was sponsored by various elected officials in the Bodega Association. We had a couple of artists come out, and the community came out. So I apologize to him, but 311 is the way to go. You could go online and apply for the 301 if your landlord is not fixing stuff in your house, not getting the hot water or the noise complaints. You can apply online or call. And then after you call, you can call my office. That's located at 573 East Forlam Road. The entrance is on Huffman Street. Our telephone number is 718-842-8100. Our hours are from 10 to 5, Monday through Friday. Fridays we're remote, but we always still will pick up your call. Also, we had a grand opening on the Grand Concourse Fine Fair. Thank you, Carter, for accompanying us. And also Edgar, he's not here today. Also, we are going to be having some book bag giveaways too, starting in the ending of July and beginning of August. And also, we're going to be having health bucks at our office the beginning, the middle of next month, the middle of July. Can't say the day, because health department never tells us the date. They just come to our office here. So, if anybody that lives in Councilmember Oswald Felice's office, come by our office. In the middle of July, you can keep on chucking call our office and say, hey, you have those health bugs. And like Sally said, we're gonna be having book bag giveaways too. So any organizations that want book bags from the council member, try to call our office, or you can email me at gcook, that's GCOOKE at council.nyc.gov. And thank you. Have a wonderful summer. Stay cool. And I guess I'll see you on Saturday. All right. Take care, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you, George. And next we have Councilmember Berina Sanchez's office. Adrian.
I'll keep it super brief. The member shared a majority of the updates. Hello, everyone. This is Adrian. For those who don't know, first and foremost, should have started off with that. And I do want to just thank you all for sharing your concerns and comments regarding the City of Yes. Keep going. There's going to be opportunities to continue as Carla alluded to, you can reach out to our office. Again, the members do vote as well. If you have very specific and concrete recommendations and asks and things to keep in mind, give me a call and we'll be sure to keep that in mind and forward that directly to the member. And again, just continue because it is a big initiative and change that's happening. And again, really recommend that you share that with your neighbors. A lot of changes happening, so thank you again. And there was a helmet fitting event. I think we had shared that information with you all. It was happening Wednesday, but we actually canceled it because of the inclement weather. More to come about the new date. And as always, just want to reiterate, give our office a call if you're in need of any sort of resources or have questions or comments about any sort of bills or just changes that are happening citywide. Thank you, and that's all I got. So it was a helmet fitting event happening at 4/4. Yeah, so that's being canceled because of the heat.
So it'll be rescheduled?
It'll be rescheduled, correct.
Phone
Yeah.
number, Adrian?
Phone number 347-590-2874. And our address is 2065 Morris Avenue. I left some of our palm cards up there. I have my cards as well, and yeah. Block party, August 17th. We have a planning meeting actually on Thursday in our office. Thank you. You gotta remind me. I know the members said it's in CB5, but we got love for CB7 too, obviously. So stop by, share your ideas. That would be this Thursday in our office, 6:30. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. Last but not least, Councilmember Eric Dinowitz's office. Okay, no one there? Okay, with that being said, again, thank you to all my board members for being a part of this year. It's been rough, it's been tough, but we got through it. We're gonna have an amazing resource fair on Saturday. Please come out, show your support. It's a fun time. It's from 12 to 3 p.m. at Poe Park. We're hoping for great weather. If not, it will be rescheduled for Sunday, I believe. Carla, that will be the date. Weather permitting.
There is a 50% chance of rain on Saturday and thunderstorms on Sunday, so we're sticking to Saturday. Rain or shine.
Okay.
And please be there, please, as board members.
Oh, there's a correction here.
So regarding the block party planning, I said 6:30. Let the record reflect. It's actually at 5 this Thursday.
Thank you, Adrian. Samantha?
I just want to say, I want to thank, we promise you it will take like
Okay, I want to thank the reps of the elected officials that have been coming consistently, but I want to be noted on something. There's been a drop-off on reps from elected officials. So they need to be here. Thank you.
Okay, with that said, any comments, questions before we break up? Yellow?
I will be adjourned.
Thank you. Okay, with that being said, do we all agree to adjourn? Thank you, everybody. Have a happy and safe summer. See you in September.